Welcome, brothers and sisters, and I would like to welcome you to a special podcast today. As we know, all things continue to fall apart globally, but this shouldn't surprise us. As believers, we're warned by the Lord, and He told us that these things would happen. However, we can make a difference. So I'd like to share with you an amazing charity doing some incredible things and certainly making a difference. So I'd like to welcome right away, Martin. Good to see you, my friend. God bless you.
Great to see you too, Christian.
So tell us, first of all, a little bit about yourself. Just take a couple of minutes and then we'll we'll look at the water gift in detail. So over
Yeah,
to you.
no problems at all. Yeah. So my background, I am a Christian as well. Been in the church all my life, but so I'm very blessed to have had Christian parents and brought up in the faith. And I think it's one of the best gifts we can be given in life is to have that background instilled in us from a young age. But my history, I am a medical physics specialist by trade, and what that means is I deal with treating cancer patients. So I've worked with all types of treatments throughout Australia and also a little bit in Hong Kong, and mainly have worked sort of over the last or 10 to 20 years with brain cancer, specializing in a few areas like that. And then probably about 5 years ago, I really started to look at philanthropic work and especially into water and how we can really change the world and make it a better place through applications in water. And that was really birthed out of a visit I had to a conference once, and basically this conference it was a water conference, and what happened is I turned up, and my daughter was going to this conference as part of her role, and I went down to the trade exhibit, and I saw a lot of companies, and I know their sales pitch. They need to do a sales pitch, but their sales pitch was you can take our products to developing countries and make clean water and sell it to them and make millions of dollars. And I just didn't see that as the best sales pitch, and from there I thought, how can we actually change the world and give access and free access to safe drinking water to people throughout the world? And really, it was basically a mix of my work in cancer and my background, of course, with that cancer treatment is a lot of physics, a lot of medicine, a lot of biology that I've done in the past, and I use those skills really to create a whole new way to verify that water is safe to drinking through God's gift of what we call SODIS, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but that's solar disinfection of water. It's an actual free process to do it, but you just need to know how long to leave it out and how to actually do it. And that's really what we've done. And I've sort of spent the last 5 years working on a way to actually verify and make sure it's accurate so that people can get pretty much free access to drinking water.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I'm just going to share a quick video with everyone and it will basically speak for itself. So we'll watch the video and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Martin Butson, founder and director of a charity called The Water Gift. Imagine a world where every child, every family, and every community has access to safe, clean drinking water. This vision isn't just about avoiding dehydration, it's about saving lives and lifting the poorest among us out of the depths of poverty. Unsafe water sources are a silent but devastating crisis affecting nearly 1 billion people worldwide. Contaminated water leads to diseases, malnutrition, and untold suffering. By providing safe drinking water, we can break this vicious cycle. The Water Gift is making this a reality by going to rural and remote locations in developing countries to provide education and the practical needs to perform SODIS, a way to disinfect water and make it safe to drink. The Water Gift can save lives, eradicate poverty, and create a brighter, healthier future for everyone. Giving our invention, the Safe Sticker, to the poorest of poor guarantees SODIS's success. This unique tool is changing lives, ensuring that safe water flows to those who need it most. Join us by supporting the Water Gift and be part of this transformative mission.
Well, brothers and sisters, an amazing video, straight to the point. It's certainly making a difference. And, the scriptures tells us that, faith without works is dead. So I just want to encourage you to please look into this charity and pray about getting involved to make a difference, especially as we take so many things for granted, and having clean water at our disposal is one of those things that we sadly take for granted. But now, Martin, I'm just going to share my screen again because I'd like you to take us through this PowerPoint presentation that not only gives us a little bit more information on that and where you're operating in a bit more detail, but very importantly, how people can partner with you and support you in this incredible charity. So I'm just going to share my screen with you very quickly. Okay, so here we go. This is an incredible charity, like I said previously. And over to you, Martin, so you can take us through in a little bit more detail, especially with the stickers, because people are going to be really, blown away by how this works. But over to you.
Okay, then, yeah. Now, we're just this presentation I'm giving here, we've entitled it Disinfect for Dignity. And the reason we are doing that is because, as I mentioned before, this process is called solar disinfection. And again, as mentioned, God gave us an amazing ability to actually disinfect drinking water with the sun, and specifically the UV rays of the sun. So I'll take you through a little bit of the process of how we do it, what we do, and just really what the stickers are and how they really are changing the world and how they can change the world for better in terms of giving access to safe drinking water. So we'll go to the next slide. Okay, just for a little bit of background, most people probably know these sort of facts, but they're very confronting facts that 2.1 billion people around the world lack safe drinking water at home and safe water. And when we say safe water, that is normally referring to biologically infected water. So when there's fecal contamination in the water, when there's so that could be bacteria, could be viruses, could be other microorganisms. And it is an astonishing amount of people that actually don't have access to safe drinking water. And out of those, it's nearly 1 billion just don't even have a basic drinking service. And that means they don't have access to water.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and really there's about the 200 million people who still just get their water from the surface. They could be from streams, could be from lakes, could be from puddles of water. I'm showing a picture there in Cambodia. This is some of the drinking water that people have in the villages that we work in. And this is what we do, is we teach them how to actually remove the dirt from the water and then how to actually biologically disinfect it and make it safe to drink. And that is the water they have to drink.
And that's amazing. But just before we go to the next slide,
Yeah.
This is incredible. I know, of course, that many people, many viewers watching, they're well aware of this issue globally, but these are some staggering figures. And that's why I mentioned that a lot of people in Western countries, we really take this for granted, but it's remarkable, the statistics.
Yeah. No problems. Yeah. And so really as a result from that, and these are WHO statistics. So often there's probably a lot more than we actually even know here, but really nearly there are 4 billion cases of waterborne diseases. And last year there were 3.4 million deaths worldwide from unsafe drinking water. And most of those, of course, were children under the age of 5. And really not having access to clean water creates a poverty cycle. You have a lack of clean water. Basically, that means you do have a lack and a poor health, and you're exposed to waterborne diseases, which really reduces your chances to even attend school. It reduces your chances to work, and that just leads to a lack of all opportunities in environmental development, economic development, sorry. And so really that's a vicious cycle that continues in all these developing countries throughout the world. And by changing that, by being able to give them access to safe drinking water, and by improving their water supply with SODIS and in any other form, but for us, we talk about SODIS and the Safe Sticker, it really can reduce the disease and death rates. It can improve nutrient absorption, and that's something people don't often know. The fact that these people live with diarrhea all their life, they know no different. They don't know what a firm stool is. They just live like this. But once they actually get access to clean water, their stool starts to form up. And what that actually means is that the nutrients and the bit of food that they actually eat, they can actually get those nutrients out of that better, and their body starts getting stronger, and it breaks that cycle. We find it takes about a month of the process to do this, but it starts to really change the way that these people live, and really increases their ability to do better things, such as improve the gender equality, better attended at school, improves these small communities, the poor communities. What it does also do too, just as a side, is often it reduces pollution and protects biodiversity. Sorry for my lack of ability to speak at the moment, and positive climate change. And the reason that is because in a lot of these countries, when they do try and disinfect their water, because they don't have any other way, they're normally burning. They're either burning coal, they're burning wood, they're burning fire to actually disinfect their water. That has both obviously an environmental impact from cutting down the timber, smoke production, but also it has a very much an economic impact as well, and improves their economies, because often they have to buy these materials. So they have to buy their wood, or they have to buy their coal. And by introducing SOTUS and using the sun, which is freely available, that then frees up that little bit of money that they would have been using for doing that to actually use on health for improvements for their food, for medicines and these sorts of things.
Yeah.
So really it's breaking that cycle, and it's teaching people a way to actually very, very safely, very easily, very cheaply allow them to get a safe drinking water supply.
Absolutely. That's great.
Yep. So next slide. So what we actually do, and this is really the basis of our charity, and what we do is we actually go into these developing countries, into rural, remote, and also sort of more of your urban shanty towns. And at the moment, we're concentrated in Cambodia, but we teach them a process of creating safe drinking water. And really, it's a step process here. And basically, the first process is to find or buy, but mostly find old water bottles. And so on the page up the top on step one, find and clean old bottles. So most of these countries, old plastic water bottles, they have to be PET or glass, but nearly all old drinking bottles, which are water or Coke or any type of soda, normally is the right type of plastic. And so we basically get them to collect these bottles, give them a great clean up first, remove all the labels off them, make them clear. That's really the only prerequisite in the process, is that they are firstly clean, but also that they are clear and they're made out of PET, plastic or glass. Then all they need to do is take their dirty, contaminated water, and that could be from wells, that could have been from rainwater that's been collected, still sitting in tanks, or it could be surface water, it could be puddles from the side of the road, or it could be from the lake. The only prerequisite we have, and I don't know whether people will be able to see on my screen at all, is how dirty the water is. So often when you pick up water from the side of the road, it is quite muddy and dirty. We need to just do a process where we remove that dirt, or most of that dirt, so that it's relatively clean, so that the sunlight can get through it. But we also teach them a process using a flocculation, how to actually do that removal of that dirt to begin with. But basically, you then just get that water, you fill up the bottles. That's in step two. In step three, they take one of these little safe stickers that we're talking about. And basically this safe sticker is a sticker that changes color with UV exposure. And that's the big trick, is because of the whole process of SOTUS, or solar disinfection, it's the UV and the sun's rays. And basically the same way that UV can burn our skin, it burns the bacteria, it burns the viruses, the microorganisms in the water. But the big trick is, and the science behind it, is knowing how long to leave the water out in the sun, so that there's been enough UV to the water to actually completely kill all these biological pathogens. And that is exactly what the safe sticker does. Next slide, we may actually have some details there. I'll go back to another one about the change in the color. Sure. No, it's not. It's if I go back 2 slides, sorry, on this one. Right. There is a picture, no, right at the beginning, sorry. There's 2 big, right at the beginning. There are 2 big pictures of the safe sticker there, over there, yes. And basically you can see one with a big red cross to it and one with a big tick. Now what happens, that little square in the middle is a color changing square, which is calibrated so that it starts off with that pinky sort of whitey sort of color, and with exposure to UV it actually changes color through a very pale blue, through a royal blue, to a very dark blue, to a black. Now as soon as that little inside square, yes, is darker than the background color of the square of the actual sticker, we actually have given enough UV rays to the water in the bottle to have killed all the bacteria, microorganisms, and viruses in there, and actually has disinfected it and made it safe to drink. So this is the really the game changer, is the fact that we just take these bottles and we put a sticker on them. And then if we go back to the other slide.
Sure. But it's also the educational process as well.
Very, very much the education to teach this process, yeah. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. But we put the sticker on, we then put it out in the sun.
Yep.
And we wait for that sticker to change color. Now, that can be anywhere from a few hours up to a couple of days, depending on the conditions. And this is where it's really as you mentioned, the education part of it, as well as the science behind it. Now, the WHO recommendations are that you take these bottles and you leave them out in the sun for 6 hours. However, what we know, just from our UV education here in Australia and with our sunburn, the amount of UV in the sun changes dramatically depending on whether it's a cloudy day, whether it's raining, different seasons, whether there's shade from trees or clouds, and certainly in Cambodia, whether they're burning fires and there's actually fires going around. That changes the amount of UV. So 6 hours may work on one day, but it may not on another. And that is the whole principle behind the sticker, is once they put that one sticker on the bottle, they'll actually absolutely know when it's received enough UV. Wow. So the education is teaching this process, this cyclic process of how to do it. And the amazing thing too, as you can see on that roof, we've got about 5 or 6 bottles on that sticker on step 4 on the roof there. They can put out 1,000 bottles. And they only need the one sticker, because the one sticker, as long as all the bottles are in the same sunlight, they only need just the one sticker, and that can verify the whole batch of the water. So whether it be one bottle for just one person, or they put 1,000 bottles out for the whole village, just that one sticker, and that verifies that their water is actually safe to drink. Wow. So as we mentioned, they just leave it out there. If we go to step 5, they just need to check that sticker. And once it's changed color so that the little inside square is darker than the background color of the sticker, which you can see in step 5 there on the right, it has. Once it's that, the water's ready to drink, safe to drink, and they can drink straight from the bottle. They use that as their personal drinking water bottle. Once it's finished, basically give it a quick rinse and fill up and start the process again. And therefore, they have access to safe drinking water for the rest of their life.
That's amazing. And, it's amazing that we're utilizing what the Lord gives us, the
absolutely.
It's truly amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so look, this is where we've been going for about a couple of years now. So we're a relatively new charity, and really we've been concentrated in Siem Reap. And we do believe that the Lord put us into Siem Reap, and we know that for a bit of a reason. For people who may know Siem Reap and the Cambodia area, it's actually the area where there is the Angkor Wat temples in the Angkor Park, and it is the spiritual center for, I suppose, Hindu and Buddhist in this area. It's the largest religious area. It's really quite a ruin, and various other parts have been put back together, but there's a heavy spiritual overtone with both Buddhism and Hinduism in this region. So we have the opportunity when we go into all the houses, into the villages, to actually witness to them as well with our actions, and we hope as with our actions and we're building up these relationships with people, that will actually then translate into be able to talk to them about Jesus. But really what we're doing is, we work and concentrate at the moment in the Siem Reap province, and we're visiting a lot of people in the shanty towns and the outskirts of these areas. And we've also had the opportunity to work in Kampong Phluc, which is a water village, and villages around the Tonle Sap Lake region, which is basically the village, fishing villages around the lake in the middle of Cambodia. Again, amazing place to visit during the dry season. It's quite dry, and in the wet season it becomes flooded, and they actually live on the water, and the in between they're living in mud. It's quite an interesting place. And our last trip, we had the opportunity to go right up the top of Cambodia to Anglong, which we can talk a little bit more later. But that was another amazing experience, and I'm sort of mentioned about the level of poor that's in Cambodia. Now, again, before I started doing this work, I knew there was lots of poor people in developing countries, but in Cambodia, they even define their poor, or divide their poor into 3 classes, which they call poor, 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 and poor, poor, poor.
Wow.
And I understand what that means now. In the first couple of villages that we went to were poor, which basically means they didn't have access to water, they don't have access to electricity, they don't have access to toilets. But what they do have access is to somewhere like the lake where they can at least go fishing and try and get some food. But then when we went up to Anglong and the villages up the top there, we realized we were walking into poor villages where they have no water, no toilets, no electricity, no anything, really no ability to actually hunt and gather for food. There's just no food, there's no work. And specifically in that area, it was the last stronghold of Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. And therefore, it is still an area that has so many landmines around that you just can't go off the track. The farming area around there, you could stamp on a landmine anytime. So when we go up there, our guides and our educators very much you follow the exact path that I tell you, and you don't walk off it in those areas. But so we spent a lot of time there, and we've also just started a couple of pilots where we're working with other charities, and that is in Western Papua New Guinea, which we're very excited about. We've got people there at the moment, and they're out of communication because, again, they have absolutely no way of making communication while they're there, and they trek in. And we've just had an opportunity to start sending some stickers and working in Vanuatu and some of the outer islands because of the cyclones that have happened of recent in October, and there's a few places that have absolutely no access to water. So we've sent some stickers over there and some people working on that. So we're very, very excited about what we've done, where we can go in the future. We have been, and just down the bottom, I've written down there, these are places that we're probably going to be going to next, and places we've actually been invited to attend. God willing, funds willing, everything willing. Our first one is the Myanmar refugee camps, and we're hoping to get there in April next year. And for those that know, there's about 1.2 million displaced people, the Karen people from Myanmar, who now have fled down to the bottom, onto the Thai borders, onto various other borders, Bangladesh border, to try and escape again the fighting that's there. And they had in these camps, they've set out various types of water disinfection to give them some safe drinking water sources. But what they have found of recent is that some of the guerrilla tactics that are happening, some of these people are going to go get their water from the tanks, and unfortunately they are being picked off or targeted in the process of going to get their water. So they're looking for a way to actually give safe drinking water to people so that they can actually survive in the jungle there and not have to congregate around large areas. So that's why we've been approached with the safe sticker, because that's something they can do. They only need a couple of their plastic bottles and a safe sticker, and they can hide in the jungle, they can do their own water, and then come back and work with that. So we're very, very excited about the opportunity to go and do that in April next year. And of course, we've been approached by Tonga and Panama, two other areas where we're hoping to be able to get to very near future.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. Nice picks.
Yeah, look, these are some of the families that we deal with, and it's, again, just an absolute honour and privilege to be able to go to people and actually teach them. And you mentioned earlier, education, that is probably the biggest thing. One aspect of we've found, and again, it's all been a learning curve to us as we go through this, certainly in Cambodia, because of the impact of the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot, people in my generation who lived it there, unfortunately, you were a target if you were educated, if you had an education, if you were religious, you were a target. And it was, again, a third of the population that were killed by Pol Pot. And so people of my age, they don't want an education. They don't want to do that. And so it's only been really the last 5 or 10 years that education and wanting to learn is something that's really brought up and come up in Cambodia. So now we do have the opportunity with the younger population to go through and teach them. So we go around to various household to household. That's the best way to do it, and actually do demonstrations. We've tried the approach where we get a big group together and do a sit down in a classroom style just doesn't work. You need to go out there, you need to teach them, you need to be on the ground, show them the process, be back there every day for a week or so, teaching them the process of how to do it. And that's how they learn, but it's also how we get those communications, those connections with the people. And as we mentioned, yeah, this is just, it's a joy for us to see the joy on their faces as they know they have access to safe water. And as we go back, we do get to see the changes in their lives through the extra health they have, the extra money they are then making through that process, the fact that the kids get an education and actually can get to school. Just an amazing process.
That is amazing. I mean, these are wonderful pictures. I mean, a picture speaks 1,000 words, but
exactly, that's right. Yes, yeah, and
it's
so
really
just
amazing. And what is so important with this, Martin, that I was impressed so much that you're providing something tangible. You're really reaching out to something that's tangible, but so essential these days. Like I've already said it a couple of times, that we take it for granted. Clear, safe drinking water is critical, and it opens the door then for eternal things and rewards, sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ, which is incredible, the work that's being done there. So
no.
I think that very important, and I just move this across to the other side. There we go. So if you can just tell us, I mean, I'll go through this very quickly, but obviously I've mentioned this before. We would ask the people, pray about this, seek the Lord's guidance and confirmation. But I think it's a wonderful, wonderful charity to be involved with. Like I said, it's tangible. It provides safe drinking water, but then they reach out the gospel of Jesus Christ. So obviously to donate, they can go to the URL address, the website there at www.thewatergift.org. Obviously some great ideas there, how to get involved and how to help by organizing some fundraising events. Good examples there: charity runs, bake sales, online campaigns, and you're free to be creative. Raising awareness in general with social media outreach and community events. Corporate sponsorship would be ideal as well. Partnering and workplace giving, and of course general volunteering, whether it be assisting with web design, campaigns, resource preparation, and very importantly, educational resource materials. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Martin, to this? Because this is key.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, and look, yeah, sorry, there probably isn't too much to add to that, but it is just the point that we, as with all projects, with all things, we do need funds to do what we do. Firstly, to actually make the stickers, that's quite a intricate process to actually manufacture them, to make them so that they're accurate. And I think that's probably one of the big things. They are relatively cheap, but there's a lot of time, resources and effort goes into that to make them, to then be able to hand them out. And we do supply bottles, all the resources that people need to actually start off this process with safe drinking water. But probably our main area of funding, as we said, is education. We really need our translators. We need our people on the ground there to actually be talking to people, continually following up with them through the process. Again, from that education, as I mentioned earlier, it's a difficult thing, and people learning it, we need to go back and make sure that they're doing the right thing. But really, that's it. It's all about getting the funds, and for us, I'll be honest, the more funds we get, the more people we can actually get out, the more stickers we can get to people. And we know already, I had a couple there. We have about 10 countries who've asked us to go there and actually help with their people. So we know that the sky is the limit in terms of where we can actually go, how many people we can actually help. So we have the ability to help or every one of those 2 billion people in the world. We just need to be able to get to them in the first place. So really, if people can donate either financially or in aspects, as we mentioned before, with volunteering or just social media and awareness, that would be absolutely brilliant. We would love it. And it is a case of doing God's work and being able to help people and then spread the word after that, which is an amazing process. Yeah.
And what more beautiful feeling you would get to giving a child some pure, clear drinking water. And like you said, then most important, sharing the gospel. So remarkable work. Martin, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to spend this and sharing this information. I pray that everyone watching, once again, prays about it, gets behind this charity and just supports them. And let's make a difference where we can make a difference. So Martin, once again, thank you. I'm very, very impressed with what you're doing. May the Lord bless you in your endeavors. And once again, brothers and sisters, hopefully you can support this incredible charity. So thank you for watching, and God bless you.